Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today let's discuss 3 new things coming to last Epoch in patch 8.1. The first thing will be the new Primalist Beastmaster skill, Warcry, which looks absolutely amazing. There will be an animation for it which we'll play here. It wasn't publicly released, so you might have missed it. However, like I said, we'll play it here. You'll see how it sounds, how it looks. We'll also discover some of the nodes that they released in the teaser and go over what they might do and how powerful they might be. And then for the second thing, we'll have 5 new arena maps. We'll show the screenshots, how beautiful they look, and go over some of that. And then the last thing will be the new boss fight track that's coming. It is a great song. It's playing in the background right now, and I'll play the entire thing at the end of the video without me talking so that you can really appreciate how good it is. Alright, first up, here's the animation. Alright, and then getting into the nodes themselves, here's Warcry base skill. It unleashes a Mighty War, as you just saw in that animation, that stuns and knocks back nearby enemies. Now what's nice about this is you can see a few things here. One, it stuns enemies. I'm assuming that means it's a guaranteed stun and a guaranteed knockback. What's nice about that is it has a cooldown of 0.1 seconds, and assuming this doesn't change, a stun, a guaranteed stun, is going to last for 0.7 seconds without any duration or effect added, which means that you would be able to get a perma stun effect as long as you can cast this faster than 0.7 seconds. Now, that's also assuming that you can keep up with the mana cost. However, this has one of my favorite mechanics, and that's that you can get mana efficiency with attunement scaling. Edera's Blessing does the same thing, and if you stack enough attunement, you can get to a point where even though it has a mana cost, you can cast it almost unlimitedly for an infinite amount of time. So with enough attunement, you'd be able to get this cost down to a point where you'd be mana regenning faster than you're spending it, and in that case, you would have a perma stun, perma knockback build, assuming it works the way that we're thinking here. Then we have the art for it, looks really nice. And then as we go down into some more of the teased nodes, we have Battle Cry. You and your allies affected by Warcry gain increased crit chance for 4 seconds. That's nice. You can do the same thing with Frenzy Totem. Now I'm assuming that with a lot of these nodes being the same thing that you can get with Frenzy Totem, that Frenzy Totem is probably going to see some big changes. Berserker, you gain the Berserk buff for 1 second. When you use Warcry, it grants you additional melee physical damage. Now what's nice about this is Frenzy Totem did the same thing, but it was just a flat amount if you were tethered to it, which meant that you had to stay within range. It meant you couldn't really lunge around to enemies. You had to wait to respawn, a Frenzy Totem to take advantage of that buff next to the enemies that you wanted to fight. A buff like Berserker is obviously going to be on you instantly and anywhere that you go, which is going to make it really nice. Now with this, it says that you get Berserk on use of the skill, so whenever you Warcry, you'll get Berserk. You get added melee physical damage per stack. You can have up to 10 stacks, assuming that's the maximum from this node. Maybe you can get more through other nodes, and you get Berserk stacks on hit with buff. I'm assuming that means that when you have the Berserk buff, more hits you do when you hit an enemy give you a chance to get more stacks. We'll have to read more into that when we get into playing 8.1. But we also know with Teutonic Heart, another node that's in the skill tree, you gain Berserk when you place the totem, assuming that's Frenzy Totem. As we scroll down, we have Breath of Edera. Warcry now restores your health whenever you use it. You get healing. Now, what's nice about this is you can cast it every 0.1 seconds. No idea how much healing it's actually going to do baseline. It's doubled if you're at low health. But if you can cast this every 0.1 seconds and just spam it, I would assume you'd be able to keep your health pretty full just from heals in itself. Then you have Veracity. While Warcry is on cooldown, which according to the cooldown of 0.1 seconds, isn't a very long time. I'm assuming there's some nodes that will affect the cooldown and possibly make it a longer cooldown. Your critical strikes have a chance to use Warcry. This effect can only happen once per direct Warcry use, and it will reset the cooldown. So you can have Warcry chance on crit while it's on cooldown, but it will only happen once in between you actually manually casting Warcry. Which means if you're trying for 10 stacks, you'd have to manually cast 5 and get 5 off of crits, and they would have to offset each other in order for you to get the 10 stacks from this node. Then you have Jumon's Wrath. Warcry now freezes enemy instead of stunning them, but it no longer knocks enemies back. Bleed chance is all converted to frostbite, blah 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 blah. What's nice about this, freeze lasts longer than stun, so at a 0.1 second cooldown, You cast this, you could get a perma freeze build out of this as well. Since freeze lasts longer than stun, that means not only would you be able to perma freeze, but you'd have time to do attacks in between freezing them. So not only can you perma freeze, but you'd be able to get in some damage and hits as well. Again, this is a skill that might work really OP like in multiplayer. And then Teutonic Heart, as we saw this was mentioned earlier, you now place down a totem for 3 seconds that repeatedly uses Warcry instead of you, but Warcry costs more mana. Now it doesn't say Frenzy Totem, so this might just be any totem, or it might be a totem that's made up by the skill itself. Now Warcry cannot taunt, which, by the way, apparently if you use Warcry it taunts. If you use it on a totem, the totem won't taunt for you, so it'll still be you when you manually cast Warcry that taunts. However, it won't work that way when you put it on a totem, so you can't make all the enemies chase down your totem. When used on a totem, Warcry benefits from your minion and totem stats rather than your own stats. And then interesting to see that it's going to have some synergies. It's obviously going to have synergy with, totems. It's also going to have a synergy with Maelstrom. So you get a certain amount of Maelstrom stacks on use, and Maelstrom will still have a mana cost. However, this mana cost will cost less than the actual Maelstrom skill does itself. Alright, getting into the new arena maps. I'm going to go ahead and scroll through each of the pictures. I'm going to crank up the music so you can enjoy them. One thing I want you to really look at is, one, the detail and the graphics of these new areas. It's actually quite beautiful. And two, the map designs. You'll notice that there's obstacles in these. A lot of them have it in the center of the map, or they have pathways that you're going to be able to run with, excluded map areas in the middle, so you can't travel there, mobs can't travel there, they'll have to chase you around, perhaps even block projectiles in these areas. And the third thing, how open and big some of them are. Alright, let's go ahead and crank those tunes, and I'm going to scroll through them for you. Alright, let me know in the comments below which one was your favorite. And lastly, we have the new boss fight track that's coming in 8.1, and I'm going to go ahead and shut up and let you listen to it, and that'll be the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and as always, safe travels in Last Epoch.